February 21st, 2023 to order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll perform roll call at this time. Councillor Benson?
Present.
Councillor Reuter?
Present.
Councillor Johnson?
Present.
Councillor DeWall?
Present.
Mayor Ward is also present. Let the minutes reflect that Administrator Rich is in attendance and Attorney Bray is in attendance via telephone. Looking for a motion to approve the City Council meeting minutes from Monday, January 17th, 2023. I know the agenda says the 6th, but they are from the 17th.
So move.
Councillor Benson made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Wait a minute, I got a question.
Councillor
What do you mean it
Reuter.
was from the 17th.
What's that?
Isn't this, we're only at the,
January 17th?
oh, it says Monday, February 6th.
Right, that's why I said we're actually making a motion for January 17th. That's the minutes that are in our
Oh,
packet.
yeah, okay.
But the
I'm just
agenda
reading this
reflects
thinking,
February 6th. So.
okay, I'll make that motion.
Councillor Benson made the motion.
Second.
Councillor Reuter seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I'll make, Councillor Johnson made the motion. I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Comments and suggestions from the citizens present. The public comment and suggestion period of this meeting is when the City Council offers a time for everyone in attendance or watching from home to address the City Council. Once we move on from public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, members of the public will no longer be allowed to address the council unless the mayor acknowledges you. As a general rule, the council will listen to all comments but will not comment on or respond to any comments made by speakers. The council will not engage in dialogue. However, any council member can ask questions. If you'd like to address the City Council during the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, please come forward to the podium or call 218-628-6289. Before you begin, please state your name and address for the meeting minutes. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the City Council will be prohibited from using obscene, profane, or threatening language or boisterous conduct that disrupts the meeting or the security of the public. Is there anyone at this time that is interested in participating in the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting? Again, that dial-in number is 218-628-6289. And Kathy, the floor is yours.
Yes, I would think. Kathy Hannon, Funeral and Good Admin Proctor. A few evenings ago on the news, the broadcaster mentioned that there was an invasive organism moving north in Minnesota and that there would be action taken by the Department of Ag. And I was interested in knowing, he said there were 4 spots in Minnesota and he never elaborated on what they were, so I looked them up and of course it's us. It's us, Hermantown, and Midway are 3 of the 4. And so I printed out, I'm sorry I didn't have it for the agenda, but I just heard this a few evenings ago. They are going to be aerial spraying for this moth, which has devastated trees in Wisconsin, is now moving into northeastern Minnesota. And since we're looking at plantings on 2nd Street, I thought it would be wise for us to know what trees they really love so we don't plant them and then lose them. And so I will just hand this out. And do we still have a tree person in town? We used to have a tree. There was someone who was responsible for trees in the day, not that long ago, maybe pre-COVID. I don't know if we still have somebody, but anyway, I think it would be important for us to know about this before we do any further plantings. So,
Is that the spongy moth? Administrator Rich and I did receive an email on that as well.
I did too.
Oh, you
I
guys
got
did
it
too?
She
Perfect.
sent it to us.
okay, good, then I won't.
And we have a future story coming up on that.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you for that, Kathy.
Oh, sure.
And the Proctor's arborist, his name ironically was Tom Tree.
Seriously. No,
Serious.
nothing like color commentary, you know, I didn't know that.
No, but that is good, good advice as far as the 2nd Street project to be aware of that, so thank you again. And we'll give that about another minute or so, if anyone would like to dial in at this time.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Hearing none, we'll move on. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. I'll make a motion pulling 3D.
Second that.
Motion by Mayor Ward, seconded by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Just a quick correction on 3D again. The PETA minutes are actually from Tuesday, January 10th, if we could just correct that. Other than that, that's all I had. So we'll entertain a motion to accept the PETA minutes from January 10th.
So moved.
Councilor DeWall made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. That will bring us to 4A, 2022 Sales Tax Recap Report. Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. The Department of Revenue have actually sent us a sales tax recap. It was very generic, and it was just a summary of a few lines. So Finance Director Brunfeld put this together for your information purposes, so you can see where our sales tax revenue is sitting, which is stable. So, and actually, the Proctor Journal did a story on tourism revenue, the food and beverage going up. But I thought you would be interested in seeing the trend from 2021 to 2022 and where we ended off in the year.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding that? Hearing none. We'll move on to 4B. Oh, Councilor Benson, you had something to add to that as far as legislative stuff?
I thought that since we are discussing sales tax, this might be an opportune time to at least recap the hearing Administrator Rich and I had with our senator and others, and I'll let you go first.
Yes, so we met remotely with Senator Hochschild and Senator Nelson, who are putting together our bill for the Munger Trail Spur sales tax, 0.5% increase. And Councilor Benson presented the need and the history of the project, and I presented some numbers behind it, specifically how much our ask has increased from even a year ago because of cost escalations. And just to give, Senator Hochschild was familiar with it because he was instrumental in helping the Hermantown sales tax bill be approved, whereas Senator Nelson just needed some background on the project and how it affects the region. So from here, just today, I sent them updated bill language. The deadline for that is March 1st, so we've gotten it well within the deadline for them for the research committees to do their research on it. But other than changing the amount and adding some language about it being a regional trail spur, the language will be the same as it was last year.
Thank you.
It was a little bit, it was a different format that I've experienced in the past, and I would imagine Administrator Rich as well. We got 10 minutes to state our case, and 10 minutes we were done, so we were able to make that work, and I think it went very well, and we got our point across, and look forward to that Senate committee hearing, Senate Tax Committee hearing.
Nice. Thank you. Does anyone have questions regarding that? No?
I also might, if I could, Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Benson.
the House bills as today, there's been 2,173 bills introduced. And when it comes to local option sales tax, Cottage Grove, Monticello, Roseville, Richfield, Hibbing, East Grand Forks, they've all asked for a sales tax within the last 2 weeks. So I think that's interesting. And some of the bills that have been introduced, parks and trails for Sandstone, St. Peter, community center for Fairmont, trails for Minnetonka, and the list goes on, a lot of trails. So these are just opportunities, and I think the deadlines are coming up quick, and we might even have, I don't think we'll probably make the Senate deadline, but at least for the next go-around, the next year. It's not a bonding year, but sometimes those are just easier. And, you know, we could look at parks and trails and playgrounds and infrastructure improvements. And there's even some items in here appropriating money for interchanges. So,
Interesting. Thank you.
thank you.
Council have any questions regarding any of that information? Hearing none. We'll move on to 4B, 2023 proposed fee schedule. Administrator Rich.
Thank you. This fee schedule has been something that staff has been wanting to update for some time. I think the last time the fee schedule was updated was in 2015. And so I met with department heads and we went over the list, made a comprehensive list of fees that we're proposing changes and did get, these are recommendations from department heads. I believe in your document, any changes are in red and you have what the current fees are. Just like you, I'm not looking for action on this. I'd just like you to take a look at it. Any revisions to this fee schedule requires an ordinance change, which requires 2 readings, which requires publication. So, but before we get into publicizing it and you want changes, I'd rather see changes now because the ordinance has to be published as it's approved. So if you can take a look at it, ask questions, you can email them to Leslie or me or the appropriate department head and ask any questions. The one that I will give you some heads up on is staff made recommendations to the P&Z Commission on our like conditional use and variance and rezoning. The one that you see in the red is the staff recommendations. Planning and Zoning Commission wasn't as aggressive on the fee increase as what our recommendation was. And our recommendation is based on the amount of staff time, the publicizing, the letters that have to be sent out, the attorney fees. So I can present those to you that way of how P&Z recommended it and what staff is recommending.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that? I just had a couple. Under demo, or under building and demo, it says NC, is that no charge?
No charge, yeah.
What does permit schedule refer to?
The building, that is the 1997 Unified Building Code schedule.
Okay. And then how about where it says reserved?
Those are fees that council has talked about as a whole of wanting to implement, but the ordinance, for example, a stormwater fee hasn't been implemented, but we thought we would get it on the schedule, at least a placeholder on the schedule. So just a reminder that we need to continue to work on that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I had just a couple of questions. Street department working foreman fee, where would that come into play?
So an example of that, and there's also fire department fees on there too, of when we had the oil spill on 6th Street. And street department personnel were called out after hours. Fire department was called out to have their trucks on standby. Those are fees that we just explore that could possibly happen. There's a water main break on a road and street department gets called out for traffic control or helping standing salt or something, you know, along those lines.
I would like to revisit the fee for that, for the working foreman, and also the police department per hour, not the squad rate, but the extra duty. I don't know that those cover, I know the street foreman does not cover at that rate.
Where are you seeing the street foreman, Counselor?
It's right under the,
It's the top of the second page.
Yeah. Just above the business licensing thing there.
Got it, thank you.
I'm not saying we have to make money, but we have to cover our overhead.
So Administrator Rich, would you like emails addressing these issues?
Either way, I can take them now, or I can take them as
Because I'm
emails
sure
as-
you're gonna, Counselor, you're gonna wanna look at numbers as far as, I'm assuming hourly wages compared to what we're charging? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm just letting the administrator know she can go on the contracts, and
Yeah,
I know there's minimum hourly, 2 hours paid out after hours. But if we just follow those contracts,
charge what an hourly officer would cost us, correct?
correct.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we will move on. Did you, no? 4C, Second Street update, Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. So right now, we're at the final design phases of the Second Street project. We have a trees and beautification and Second Street committee meeting coming up, where we are going to make some lower level design recommendations for like trees. We have made a design recommendation for the street lighting. Plans are being submitted for the sewer work, for the water work. We sent out easement letters to the owners along Second Street, asking them to grant us temporary easements to do the work in their front yards, if we're going to be encroaching on their property. A lot of questions coming back. We're spent a good portion of today contacting all of the Second Street owners by phone to see if they have any questions, or under a really tight timeline. From here, what the process will be is, once we get state approval on the project, since this is a county cooperative project, the county will be letting out the bids. It needs to be published. It's about a 30-day publication, and then the county accepts the bids because they're the project coordinator on this. Of course, the council will have input on it. And then it'll take about another month for construction documents to be, agreements to be made up. So we are looking at beginning of June start time, which is about 15 days later than what we originally hoped for. But we're thinking with the wet winter, and we'll probably have a wet spring, that it may have been pushed back to June anyways with the kind of weather we've been having. But other than all that, all is on track. SCH has been working. This is a very big project to do in such a short time for planning, but staff has been giving good recommendations. Rick and Jay and Megan and Shar have been all a part of the kind of the grittiness of the plans.
Thank you. Council have any questions or comments?
I was just going to ask, one of the big concerns with the school, if I remember right, was they wanted them to delay the start of that because they have so many things going on at the end of May, beginning of June. They'd rather see us go a little more in the fall than in the spring, and I'm just wondering if they're still considering that, or are they just...
Yeah, so we originally going to start working on, we were going to start at the beginning of June regardless whether the school had go on, because we have to spend our LRIP funding by the end of 2023. And the LRIP funding is for Second Street, not for 9th and 3rd. So being that, there's some current concerns about material availability, there's concerns about contractor availability. So we're going to get started on Second Street as soon as we can, to make sure that we spend that LRIP funding by the end of the year. If 3rd and 9th have to be a second year project, then it has to be, but it's really important that we get the Second Street in order to access the funding.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, we will move on to 6A. Resolution 05-23, accepting donations. In your packet is resolution accepting a donation from the Moose Lodge for some plush moose stuffed animals in the amount of $170. Is there a motion to accept resolution 05-23 in the donation?
So moved.
Counselor Johnson made the donation. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Do we all get one?
You gotta ask Administrator Rich.
Just wondering.
That'll bring us to 6B, Resolution 06-23, gambling permit. In your packet is a resolution of non-objection to issuance of the State of Minnesota charitable gambling license, permit to Crush ALS Inc. to conduct a raffle at Blackwoods Event Center on January 16, 2024. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 06-23?
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Signed by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 6C, Resolution 07-23, accepting a donation from Northern Fitness Solutions for a Cybex 530T treadmill in the amount of $1,300. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 07-23 and accept the donation?
I'll move.
Counselor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Signed by Counselor Reuter. Any further discussion? Just had one. Is that any progress on the policy for that?
Yep, it is being routed right now to chief and to the sergeant. We've had some input on changes today, so it's very close.
And in the meantime, is that facility being used? No? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6D, Baker Tilly Bond Service Engagement Letter. In your packet is an engagement letter with Baker Tilly to have them start working on funding for the Second Street project. Is there a motion to approve the engagement letter? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Signed by Counselor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 6E, 322 Kirkus Street garage bid. So if council recalls, I don't know, last year maybe, there were bids. There was a bid that came in for the garage up on Kirkus Street by the salt sand facility. That bid was extremely high compared to what our engineers thought it should be, probably due to the cost of materials and lack of labor at the time. But Administrator Rich and city staff are wondering if council would like to put that project back out for bid. I guess my opinion would be put it out for bid again, see where we're at, and then at that time we can discuss if it's feasible to do the project or not.
I'll make a motion to put it out for bid, rebid.
Councilor DeWall made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion?
Just that the Puck Commission also agreed that it should go out for a rebid too.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Councilor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6F, Sand Salt Shed, change order number 6. In your packet is change order number 6 for Vite. They had to do a temporary access roadway, if we recall, Loomis, I believe. CenturyLink was, they had a fiber optic utility conflict that we had to have temporary access in the winter. The road has already been built, but this is the cost of what that extra temporary road had to, what they charge us for it. And it's in the amount of $8,000. Looking for a motion to approve change order number 6 for Vite.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to go into a closed meeting pursuant to State Statute 13D.05 Subdivision 3 for labor negotiations.
I'll make that motion.
Counselor DeWall made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to go get it from my office right now, John.
Motion passes. you. We'll resume the regular city council meeting, and that will bring us to members' concerns. Councilor Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just two quick things to alert the council. I got reappointed for a 3-year term to the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust. So I was pretty excited about that. There's only 2 elected officials that sit on that small little board, so that's
Congratulations.
thank you. And then the other item concerning the league is Proctor native has just gotten hired, Brooke Bortson.
Oh.
And Brooke's a 1999 grad. Her father used to sit on the planning and zoning, and she's on the intergovernmental relations. She's the intergovernmental relations representative. So that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilor DeWall.
Nothing.
Councilor Johnson.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Mr. Benson for being appointed for another 3 years.
Thank you. Councilor
I
Reuter.
have nothing.
Thank you.
Oh, I suppose I should say that, the breed auction is going on online right now. People want to bid on stuff. That'd be cool.
Awesome. Thank you. Meetings 3/6/23 and 3/20/23. I'll be out of town, so Councilor DeWall will be running those meetings if he's present. And Hermantown State of the City, Hermantown Proctor Rice Lake State of the City is at Blackwoods on 3/16 from noon to 1, if anyone's interested in attending that. Other than that, that's all I have. Attorney Bray?
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Administrator Rich, anything more?
Nothing.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $348,128.85.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Councilor DeWall made the motion to adjourn. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Thank you.